Let's go through how to walk properly if you have anterior pelvic tilt. So what's anterior pelvic tilt? Basically means that the front of your pelvis is going down, whereby it looks like you're trying to stick your butt out, but you're really not, right? And while it can be considered an attractive look, it can lead to a lot of issues. Back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, knee pain. And so we want to make sure that if you do have pain, if you have anterior pelvic tilt, correcting the anterior pelvic tilt should help your pain. And one of the best activities and probably the all-time greatest exercise for human beings, it's what we are designed for, is walking. So how do we do it properly if we have anterior pelvic tilt? All right. So first, what we got to do is go through standing properly, right? That's going to give us our proper setup to walk properly without discomfort and without reinforcing anterior pelvic tilt. Because here's one of the biggest issues that I see is that you do hear, oh, walking is great, you should do it. I have a video called Walking for Weight Loss, and it's probably one of my highest viewed videos ever, which is awesome. But I don't want people walking and reinforcing their anterior pelvic tilt, which can actually produce back pain. Instead, I want walking to have the opposite effect, where it gets you out of anterior pelvic tilt. Now, how can we ensure that that happens? So if we have this posture whereby the front of our pelvis is downward, it looks like we're trying to stick our butt out, we're going to use our side abs here to raise up the front here. Now, for our purposes, there's going to be some of you that, especially if you go backwards like this, you're going to be like, oh yeah, there's some pain. That's exactly why we're going to do this the way we're going to do this. And so we're going to raise up the front of our pelvis here, just using our side abdominals. Do not use your glutes or your butt muscles to help ensure that you're not using that, because some of you are going to be like, oh, I did that, ouch, pain, I'm turning off this video right now. Give me a chance here. Okay, what we need to do is you're going to, this is especially for you, but in general, this is what I want you to do regardless too, because too many people use their glutes to rotate this front of the pelvis upward. And that's not exactly what we're trying to do. And for those of you who especially turn on the glutes, you have pain, we're definitely not going to do that. You can press into your glutes, and you should feel when you rotate up. Watch when I squeeze my glutes here. Boom. See? Boom. Okay? So when a lot of people do this, they're like, boom. They squeeze their glutes, and it rotates up. This should stay relaxed. This should get more stiff and hard and tense because you're using these side abs to pull up the front of your pelvis, okay? So once we set that up, the glutes stay nice and relaxed here. You might have a little bend in the knees because what that does is it allows the pelvis even easier time to go up. So when we start walking, we're just basically gonna hold that tension, and we're gonna stay relaxed pretty much throughout everything. Now, this is not quite yet exactly how I want you to walk, but this is our beginning. Hold that tension up, and we're continuing walking. So many people, I'm like, hold the pelvis up. And then right when they start walking, this is what they do. Look at this line here. Oh, I'm back into it. No. Hold that up here. We start walking, okay? Nice and relaxed. So at first, if you need to, especially if you have pain that results from squeezing this, then you do need to keep that relaxed, and we're going to keep a nice short setup here as we walk. And what I want you to do too is we're going to be using arm swing, okay? The arms need to swing when we walk. And precisely what it should look like is when you walk, as this right leg goes forward, the right arm will go back. However, this here needs to always be forward. In fact, for a lot of people who have anterior pelvic tilt, they not only have anterior pelvic tilt, you can tell because oftentimes when they go back, they're like, ouch, but it's even worse when they go, let's say, for example, it might be worse on the right side or when they go to the left side. And that usually means there is an accompanying rotation pain mechanism with their anterior pelvic tilt. So if that is the case for you, if you have pain while standing or walking, especially walking, here's what I want you to do. You clasp the sides here, and when you walk, you look down and you make sure that this is not rotating at all. It needs to be zero rotation here, okay? We're tucking up the front of our pelvis. We're ensuring that this does not rotate. You might want a little bend in your knees if that helps you, okay? Walking. Now, I just said, rotate your arms. Now I'm saying do this. But I'm saying if you have a rotational component going on that's caused you discomfort, or you can look down and you can see, oh, I'm rotating quite a bit. You should correct that before it becomes a problem. Ideally, when we walk here, we should get this rotation here, which prevents this from rotating. And to give you a precise example, oftentimes people have what I call backpack gait. That means a backpack walking pattern. And it typically means they're like this and they walk. And you see how much I'm rotating through here? I literally see that, okay? One of the hospitals that I go to regularly, I would go through this long hallway, and I would say 1/3 of people, I'm like, excessive rotation, excessive rotation, excessive rotation. There's too much. And I wonder if they have current pain or when they will have pain. Doesn't mean you absolutely gonna have pain, but when that rotation becomes a lot and enough and possibly down the road, that can be your issue. And oftentimes these people don't even know it at all. So what I do with these people at first is usually I'm like, hold your pelvis and look down and make sure you're not rotating. And they'll walk and they're still rotating. So I'm like, let me do it. And I just clamp them down and make sure they're not rotating. And they're like, oh, there's no discomfort. I'm like, there you go. We have to have zero rotation going on here, okay? So essentially, we do need some arm swing. You can even kind of look at your pelvis to really see if you're rotating too much. You can even go like this with short steps and to see if you're rotating too much. Even for people who rotate a lot, no matter what they do at first, they're just gonna get like so much rotation. They're just like this. So much rotation. And ideally, we wanna be like this. No rotation going on. And actually getting in more arm swing helps to prevent rotation. Reason why is because as this leg goes forward, the pelvis wants to rotate this way, but your arm swing actually prevents that from happening too much if you have good mechanics already. But if you don't have, you've been wearing a backpack for a long time, which if you grew up in the US education system, chances are you got some good rotation in your pelvis, and that already is too much. And the thing that we gotta do along with our arm swing, okay, is going to be push off. We're pushing off with our foot. I apologize for not showing the bottom of my feet. You may not be able to see them, but we're essentially gonna be, okay, pushing off. We're pushing off here. This does increase glute activation. One of the jobs of the glutes is to help push us forward. So the glutes, as long as it's not a pain mechanism for you, meaning as long as when you turn your glutes on, it doesn't hurt. Like I said, for some of you, we don't want that to happen. But for a lot of you, it'll be fine. We push off, okay? So we get a nice arm swing, we push off. Okay. Good arm swing, minimal rotation, keeping that good upward tuck of our pelvis. And I would say the ab tension should be about a 3 out of 10. Now, some of you might notice that you're getting tired after a little while when you're walking. What I want you to do is feel in the front of your pelvis, completely relax, and you should see that happen. If you do see that, that's a good sign. What happens when you don't see that? That means you've been walking, reinforcing your anterior pelvic tilt, and that's not good, and you need to be more cognizant of keeping this nice and tucked up. And so when you're pushing off to, again, the glutes along with the side abs are gonna help to keep up the front of your pelvis. Also a little bit the hamstrings as well too, which attach on the pelvis. They pull down the rear of your pelvis, which has the same effect of pulling up the front of your pelvis, which is precisely what we need and want. So my question to you is, do you have anterior pelvic tilt? You can also check out my video, do you have APT or anterior pelvic tilt? My question to you is, do you have anterior pelvic tilt? And if so, are you walking and how does it feel? So if you have any questions on the corrective exercises that we went through here today, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.
You're driving me